are doing our second in a series of discussions on the book Polycraticus. This is our third semester where we're doing a series of discussions on books about politics.
This actually started about a year and a half ago when we came up with the idea to discuss classic works, largely dealing with political theory. So we started with the Federalist Papers, which were written to describe why the Constitution should be passed. And this year we're talking about what is the best way to organize government. So we're reading John of Salisbury's idea that government should be run by a prince who is guided by God to do what is right. And then we're going to follow that up with reading Machiavelli's The Prince.
It's really about inviting people from our community as well as students to engage and to discuss and to think about in a theoretical way, the sort of structure of our political system and the context in which that emerged.
Polycraticus is written in the Middle Ages. John of Salisbury, the author, who is a bishop, is trying to just explain to a king how one ought to rule well. Then The Prince was written in the early 1500s. It's the kind of book that's just exactly against the kind of book that Polycraticus is, where Machiavelli is basically arguing that you can do whatever you want to keep power, and it's ultimately what works.
I try to think of putting all of these figures in conversation with one another, spanning many centuries, and we can sort of imagine what more contemporary political figures might say to Machiavelli or questions they might ask.
We hope it's beneficial just for everybody to think through these things, especially 2012 is an election year. Now we've got a new second term of the Obama administration, and we can see kind of the tradition in which our own political ideas evolved.
We think that preparing young students to participate in the electoral process is very important, and sort of having a better understanding of the history of politics is a really good idea.
They develop their own idea of what the proper role of government is, so they can decide to what level they want to participate and decide how they want to ultimately vote and make choices. This would be very good material if you're interested in becoming a historian, either an American historian or a Western Civ historian. Be very important if you were thinking about becoming a political science, because you're going to be introduced to all this material when you transfer and become a junior and a senior. So this will help prepare you.
The humanities are just a really important way of encountering how people have thought about things in the past, what shapes us now, something that is beneficial for anybody in any field.
There's more and more pressure in higher education to redirect our efforts toward building skills that are directly applicable to the workplace, and I think while that is important, we can't lose sight of the importance of preparing ourselves for living meaningful lives, contributing, becoming informed as citizens. And I think, again, that's what a liberal arts education is really about.